Welcome to Social Psychology, Chapter 2, Culture and Nature. Gender is a perfect case study for understanding this chapter because it shows how biology and culture intertwine. Nature's contribution: humans are born with biological sex characteristics, chromosomes, hormones, anatomy. That these influence but do not fully determine identity. Culture's contribution: gender roles, expectation, and identity are shaped by social norms and vary widely across cultures. In some societies, strict binaries dominate; in others, multiple gender categories exist and are recognized. The interaction: while nature sets the stage with biological differences, culture writes the script by deciding what it means to be male, female, non-binary, or something else. For example, clothing, jobs, emotions, or family roles tied to gender are cultural, not biological. This example shows us that human behavior cannot be explained by biology alone or by culture alone. It's always both. Now let's zoom out to nature more broadly. Nature equips us with universal drives and reflexes: hunger, thirst, reproduction, safety, and social attachment. These are survival needs shared across humanity. From an evolutionary perspective, natural selection favored traits that helped humans live in groups, cooperate, and raise offspring. Our brains are also products of nature. The human brain, especially the frontal lobe, evolved to plan, reason, and crucially manage social life. But nature doesn't dictate specific behaviors, it provides a flexible foundation. Culture steps in to give meaning, structure, and variation to the universals of nature. Shared knowledge as cultures consists of beliefs, practices, values, language, and traditions passed across generations. An example: eating. Biology gives hunger, but culture decides what counts as food and how it's prepared. Emotions. Anger is universal, but cultures differ on whether expressing it is acceptable. Gender. As we saw, biology provides sex, but culture creates gender categories and roles. Without culture, humans would survive, but they wouldn't create art, morality, religion, or complex societies. The real insights of this chapter is that culture and nature are partners, not rivals. Nature provides raw material, drives like survival, status seeking, and belonging. Culture shapes expression; rules, norms, and institutions channel those drives into social order. Sometimes culture overrides nature. For example, fasting traditions or celibacy resist natural urges in the service of high cultural values. Think of it this way: nature builds the instrument, but culture writes the music. The social brain hypothesis. Why are humans especially cultural animals? This hypothesis offers an answer. Our large brains evolved primarily to navigate complex social life: alliances, hierarchies, cooperation, and conflict. We developed theory of mind, the ability to imagine what others are thinking, which fuels empathy, language, persuasion, and deception. Language itself shows the intersection. Nature gave us vocal cords and cognition, but culture gave us words, grammar, and meaning. Humans as social animals. What does it mean? Like many species, humans evolved to live in groups. Social connection is built into our biology. Evidence is that we depend on others for survival. Infants cannot survive alone. Belonging needs are universal. Think Maslow's hierarchy. Our brains are wired for reading faces, tracking relationships, and detecting cooperation or betrayal. Isolation and rejection cause psychological and physical harm. From this view, humans are instinctively group-oriented. Sociality is part of our nature. Humans as cultural animals. What does it mean? Unlike other social species, wolves, bees, chimpanzees, humans rely not just on group living, but on shared systems of meaning. Evidence, language. Let us pass down knowledge across generations. Norms and rules. Provide structure. For example, rules about marriage, trade, or leadership. Cumulative culture. Humans build on what came before them. We don't reinvent the wheel every generation. We improve it. And flexibility. Culture allows humans to adapt to any environment. Deserts, tundras, megacities, even space stations. From this view, humans are not just social, but fundamentally cultural. We survive and thrive because we construct, transmit, and enforce meaning. The truth is, humans are both. We are social animals because our survival depends on groups. We are cultural animals because our groups depend on shared ideas, norms, and institutions. Think of it like this. All cultural animals are social, but not all social animals are cultural. Wolves are social, ants are social, but they don't pass down symbolic traditions, create moral code, or debate what fairness means. That's uniquely human. Culture and food for thought. One of the clearest ways to see how nature and culture work together is in food. Nature's role. We all get hungry. That's a biological drive, universal across humans. Hunger, thirst, and the need for energy are written into our DNA. Culture's role, what we eat, how we eat it, and when we eat it, those are cultural. In some cultures, insects are considered a delicacy. In others, they're unthinkable. Some cultures use utensils like forks or chopsticks. Others eat with their hands. Even timing. 3 meals a day, small snacks throughout the day, or fasting traditions are shaped by culture. So nature gives us the appetite, but culture gives us the menu. Food for thought beyond eating. This food metaphor extends further. Culture doesn't just feed our bodies, it feeds our minds. We inherit a biological brain, but what fills that brain? The ideas, values, and beliefs that come from culture. Just like food, cultural diets vary. Some societies emphasize individualism, other collectivism. Some prioritize competition, others cooperation. And just like food, not all cultural input is equally healthy. Some ideas nourish growth, while others can be toxic or limiting. Think about the last meal you ate. Your stomach growled because of biology. That's nature. But whether you had tacos, sushi, or peanut butter on toast, that's culture. Now extend that idea. Nature gives you the capacity to think, but culture decides what ideas you consume. Culture is food for thought, shaping not just your body, but your very world view. Rather than thinking of nature and culture as opposites, it's best to see them as partners in shaping human behavior. They're constantly influencing each other. Nature provides the foundation. Biology gives us instincts, needs, and capacities: hunger, fear, sexual reproduction, social bonding, aggression, and the ability to learn. These are universal, meaning you'd find them in every human no matter where they're born. Think of them as the raw materials of human life. Culture builds on nature. Culture takes those raw materials and organizes them into shared systems of meaning. Example, nature says you need food. Culture says here's how to cook it, share it, and celebrate it. Culture can reshape or restrain nature. Sometimes culture deliberately goes against natural impulses. Celibacy in certain religions orders suppress sexual urges. Fasting traditions override hunger. Laws against violence channel aggression into acceptable forms like sports or competition. The loop, how culture shapes biology. Interaction is not one way. Culture also feeds back into nature by reshaping how our biology is expressed. Stress, for instance, is a natural response, but cultural pressures like exams, deadlines, or social expectations determine when and how often it's triggered. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire, shows that repeated cultural experiences can literally alter the brain structure. Think of nature and culture like a dance. Nature sets the rhythm, our hunger, fear, need for belonging, drive for survival. But culture writes the choreography: when we eat, what we fear, who we belong to, and how we survive. And just like in any dance, both partners are constantly responding to each other. Without nature, there's no rhythm. Without culture, there's no choreography. Together, they create the uniquely human performance. The duplex mind refers to the idea that the human mind operates on two levels at the same time: the automatic system and the conscious system. The automatic system is fast, effortless, and unconscious. It handles things like recognizing faces, understanding language in real time, or pulling your hand away from a hot stove. It works through habits, intuitions, and gut feelings. An example is when you see someone smile, you immediately know they're happy. You don't sit there and logically reason it out. The conscious system is slow, deliberate, and controlled. It handles reasoning, planning, self-control, and reflection. It uses language, logic, and abstract thinking. An example is deciding whether to take a new job, writing an essay, or calculating a tip. They work together. The automatic system is like the default driver. It handles most of your daily functioning without effort. The conscious system is like the navigator. It steps in when the situation requires flexibility, planning, or self-regulation. They're constantly interacting. The automatic mind can generate impulses. Eat that cookie. The conscious mind can override those impulses. No, I'm dieting. But if you're tired, stressed, or distracted, the automatic system often wins. Many of our social judgments and biases come from the automatic mind: snap impressions, stereotypes, emotional reactions. The conscious mind can correct or override these, but it takes energy and awareness. This explains why even well-intentioned people sometimes act in biased ways. Their automatic system kicks in before their conscious system has a chance to regulate. Picture your mind as a car with two drivers. The automatic system is behind the wheel most of the time. It's fast, efficient, and doesn't need much gas. The conscious system is sitting in the passenger seat with the map, stepping in when you hit a confusing intersection or need to rethink the route. Most of the time, automatic drives the car just fine, but when the road gets tricky, you want the conscious system to grab the wheel. And here's the catch. If you're low on fuel, tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, your conscious driver takes a nap, and the automatic system just speeds along. That's why we make impulsive decisions late at night or say things that we regret when we're exhausted. The duplex mind helps explain why humans are both brilliant thinkers and deeply flawed decision makers. We're running two minds at once. Social acceptance. Humans are sometimes called the cultural animal, but an equally accurate label might be the accepted animal. Why? Because our survival has always depended on being part of a group. The biological roots of acceptance. From an evolutionary perspective, isolation meant danger, less protection, less food, fewer mates. Belonging isn't just emotional, it's tied to survival. Rejection activates the same brain regions that process physical pain, which shows how deeply wired this need is. Culture provides the standards for acceptance, rules about how to dress, what to say, how to behave, and even who is in or who is out. These rules vary by society, but the pressure is universal: fit in or risk exclusion. Norms, rules, and values are the tickets to belonging. The consequences of rejection: short-term effects are hurt feelings, sadness, anger, anxiety. Long-term effects: loneliness, reduced self-esteem, depression, even physical health problems. This is why bullying, ostracism, and discrimination are so psychologically damaging. They cut at the core human need to belong. The connection to the duplex mind: the automatic mind is always scanning for cues of rejection or acceptance: a frown, a laugh, being left out of a conversation. The conscious mind interprets and responds, but those automatic alerts often drive our emotions before we can rationalize. Think about the last time you felt left out. Maybe your friends didn't invite you to somewhere or someone ignored your message. That sinking feeling isn't just in your head, it's biological. Your brain processes rejection much like physical pain. Why? Because for most of human history, being cut off from the group was life-threatening. That's why culture matters so much here. Culture writes the rules of acceptance, how to dress for prom, how to behave at a family dinner, how to interact at work. If you follow those rules, you're welcomed in. Break them and you risk exclusion. So when we say humans are cultural animals, what we're really saying is that humans are animals who must belong. Acceptance isn't optional, it's survival. The selfish impulse, nature's voice, at the biological level, humans are wired for self-preservation and self-interest. Evolution favored traits that helped individuals survive, like seeking food, protecting oneself, competing for resources, and reproducing. These impulses are automatic and powerful. Think of hunger, fear, aggression, or jealousy. For example, grabbing the last slice of pizza without thinking. The social conscious is culture's voice. Culture steps in with rules, norms, and moral codes that encourage cooperation. A social conscience develops empathy, guilt, shame, and moral reasoning that all help keep the group intact. So instead of taking the last slice of pizza, you pause and ask, does anyone else want this? The automatic mind tends to produce the selfish impulse, fast, instinctive, self-serving. The conscious mind engages the social conscience, slow, deliberate, balancing fairness and long-term relationships. Together they create the constant inner conflict between me and we. Human history is shaped by this tension. War versus peace, greed versus generosity, exclusion versus inclusion. Social psychology shows that cooperation, not selfishness, is what ultimately allowed humans to build civilizations. In short, selfish impulses help an individual survive, but the social conscience helped groups and therefore the species thrive. Inside each of us, there's a quiet battle going on. On one side is the selfish impulse, the voice of nature saying, take what you need, protect yourself, win at all costs. On the other side is the social conscience, the voice of culture saying, share, play fair, think of the group. This tug of war explains why we sometimes act in ways that surprise even ourselves. You might feel the urge to lie, but then guilt holds you back. Or you might want to push ahead in line, but shame makes you wait your turn. Nature whispers me, culture whispers we, and human life is really about learning to balance these voices. Why people matter most. Humans are wired for belonging and cooperation. Unlike many animals, we don't just live with others, we live through others. Our survival depends on relationship. Culture exists largely to help people coordinate, connect, and care for one another. How culture puts people first. Norms and rules tell us how to treat one another. Respect your elders, for example. Morality and values are cultural inventions that prioritize fairness, justice, and compassion. Even self-control is often exercised for social reasons, to avoid hurt feelings, maintain harmony, or protect reputations. The duplex mind in action. The automatic system might push towards self-interest, but the conscious system, guided by culture, often reminds us to put people first. So you might want to cut in line, selfish impulse, but guilt or shame, social conscience, stops you. This matters in social psychology. Much of social psychology is about how people influence each other and why cooperation is possible in such large, complex groups. Putting people first is what made human culture so successful. It transformed survival from an individual task into a collective achievement. Here's the real secret of culture. It's not about food, clothing, or technology. It's about people. Culture is a system designed to put people first, to make living together possible. Think about how much of your daily life revolves around others, waiting your turn, saying thank you, smiling when you greet someone. These small gestures may not seem like much, but they are the glue of human life. Without culture, humans would be clever loners. With culture, we become something greater, a species that thrives because we know how to put people first. See you in chapter 3.